that is obviously emotional value and spiritual values attached to that part of the land. This is what I meant, that if there is another, or there are other centers besides spiritual things, will there be...
No, if one center is prevented from operating for a certain extent, to a certain extent, it is tolerable. And beyond that, it begins to hinder in the day-to-day works you have to perform. So for those purposes, a new center has to be built. For instance, if I remain in Rabwah, I will be totally inoperative. No Khalifa can function in Rabwah nowadays because of the government restrictions, because Ahmadi can remain quiet and work quietly, but a Khalifa cannot remain quiet and work quietly. A Khalifa cannot say a sermon where he does not mention Islam and propagation of Islam and does not speak of expansion of Islamic things. So he will be either way out of circulation, either living outside the prison and yet be out of circulation, or living inside the prison and being bodily out of circulation. And a place where you are not permitted to hold ijtimas, the central ijtimas for all the world, and also you are not permitted to say sermons on loudspeakers, you are not permitted to hold your annual conferences and things, you are not permitted to publish your literature. So what is the center then? The real value of the center is being gradually demolished with a criminal intent, with a diabolical plan to hit at the roots. This is what is happening in Pakistan, in fact. So we are waiting for the decree of Allah to come. If Allah has so decided that this country is abundant and Allah has decided to destroy the country ultimately, then we will ultimately have to move out. There is no way left to us but to build a new center by shifting the entire central activity from Rabwah to that center. But such decisions must not be taken in a hurry. I hope Pakistan will be saved. I hope Pakistan, because the people there are gradually turning towards Ahmadiyya. So this is my hope. So as long as that process is not interrupted and the people are turning more and more towards Ahmadiyya as they are nowadays, I have hope for Pakistan and no hope for such government which is opposing religion so blatantly. But Allah knows best. If in the next 3 or 4 or 6 months maybe things do not settle down and precipitate, then we will see what happens. And your fears, well, they are fears in a way, but you shouldn't call them fears in reality, because this is another phenomena which can be studied from religious history, that more you are transplanted, greater is the growth rate later on, and some sweetnesses are always added. Although it's a brutal process of transplantation, it's a very traumatic process as far as your sentiments and comforts are concerned. You have to sacrifice naturally. You get injuries both sentimentally and physically and in matter and in what you have built. You have to lose a part thereof at least. And sometimes entirely whatever you have built is lost temporarily. But then there is what is attached to it, the blessing of Allah, that is very great, out of all proportion to the sacrifice you have to offer. Because the process of transplantation, as I have said, if it's effected in capable hands, and Allah's hands of course are capable, then every time a plant is transplanted, its fruit gains greater sweetness. This is the law of nature. For improving mangoes, for instance, some gardeners, some experts transplant them for 30 to 40 times in short intervals, and the results tell us that the quality of that mango is improved a lot. So under these stresses, under these challenges, of course, the qualities of Ahmadis are also improving very rapidly, everywhere. But apart from that, the rate of spread is greater. And apart from that, on top of everything else, then there is a promise of God that you would positively return to that place from where you had been turned out, just because you believed in the messenger of the time. And then you turn with a victory with such great impact that whatever resistance is left is broken down and you sweep the whole place. So what you think are fears, in fact, are not real fears. They are blessings in disguise, but painful process is all the same. When a child is born, naturally a mother has to go through the labor and there are risks involved. So are risks involved in every transplantation as well. As I told you, it is Allah's decree, and whatever is happening in Allah's hands, that is safe. There is no question of any abortion as far as that is concerned. So we must be submitted in our attitude to Allah, completely submissive. And then you have trust, you are in safe hands. Is that all, or you wanted to understand something else?
You have given me the answer what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
The hijrah from Qadian was a hijrah, in fact, in reality, in the sense that it is a physical hijrah. We migrated. But it was not a reality in the sense that we were turned out because we had believed in Hazrat Masih. Nothing of that process occurred there. It was a larger exodus of a people, and we were a very small part thereof. And those who did not believe in Masih, they were an overwhelming majority to us, and they were also expelled. So, in just the strict religious term, the present situation is closer to hijrah than any other situation before in the history of Ahmadiyya. Because here an enemy is striking at the roots of religion. He has taken on himself, most diabolically, to demolish what has been created by God, and the enemy thinks, that what of Ahmadiyya he will achieve through the help of the army and the government and all the agency and power at his disposal, and he will become a lasting hero in the world for being able to demolish Ahmadiyya. Now, if suppose for a fraction of a time that he succeeds in demolishing Ahmadiyya in the sense that he kills a few million people in Pakistan, still it's very stupid of him to believe that Ahmadiyya as such can be finished from the world. It has gone too far outside his reach. Pakistan is still a small place in the geography of the world, and the impact of that, if that happens, would be so great. God forbid that it should happen, but if it does happen, then the impact would be that Ahmadiyya would be 100-fold greater in the rest of the world. How stupid of a small man to believe, to conceive that he can demolish a religion expounded by God. It's impossible. Or a true version of an older religion which had been distorted by its own followers, which had been re-established by God. This is the exact case as it is. So smaller men think in small terms, but Allah's decrees and plans are much larger and grander, and they are always defeated. Either way they are defeated. If they succeed to have achieved, appear to have achieved the first objective apparently, even then they are demolished and finished. Because they can't kill a community, they can kill a few people, and the result is exactly the opposite of what they want to achieve. The number spreads, the power spreads, the wealth spreads, the name grow higher and assume bigger proportions and things. But I think this man will not be permitted to go even a few steps in that direction. Because Allah has shown me, repeated glad tidings. Only recently, before I came here, I think it was about 4 days ago, that I saw a dream which was very unique in the sense that I met 4 people, and after waking up I realized that all 4 had the name of Bashir, and there was none other. There was one woman, the girl, a woman, I think married woman, whose name is not Bushra. Yet, in the dream, I knowing that, I understand that her name is Bushra. And the Bushra I have in mind when I call her. At the same time, I know she is not the daughter of another Bashir. But that Bushra is daughter of a person who also has the name Bashir, that is the 5th Bashir. But in the dream I have no control over my thoughts. I call her Bushra and I consider her the daughter of another Bashir, yet her father is known to me, his name is Yusuf and not Bashir at all. And it starts, the first Bashir that appears is Hazrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib. And he meets me with great respect and I feel extremely embarrassed. All the life, during his lifetime, I have had great respect for him, of course, like everybody else had. But also being his nephew, I had a very special respect for him and love for him. So when he meets me in this capacity, I feel very awkward because he's showing me such respect and such love and such submission that I'm surprised. And I keep thinking that how will it happen? It's impossible for me to receive all this honor at his hand, but it has to be like that because Allah has chosen me as Khalifa. I have to suffer through this if it is a suffering. And then I meet his servant who is also Bashir. And he has kept a bottle of milk for me. And there was an ex-servant of mine, a boy who lived not exactly a servant, but who we almost, his father was either dead or had become non-Ahmadis, so his grandfather sent that boy to me. His name was also Bashir. So I told him to collect that milk from him. And then I see that patient of mine, an old patient, whose name is not Bushra, whose father is not Bashir, but in the dream, without any effort, but despite myself, I understand her name to be Bushra, and I understand her father's name to be Bashir, and know at the same time that it is not. So when I got up, the impact of that dream was so wonderful to see 4 Bashirs and one Bashir as a father, that was the faith. But immediately the one verse of the Quran came to me, that Ghamon ka ek din aur 4 shadi, Subhanallahi afdala. 1 day of sorrow and 4 of glad tidings. That is what has been promised to me by God. And it is Allah who has defeated and demolished all my enemies. So that was the first verse that came to me after waking up, as I realized what had happened. And no other person, just Bashir and nothing else. Now this is not all. Most interesting thing is this. In the morning when I met my wife, I told her that Allah has given me some great glad tidings. And she asked me what it is. I said, no, I won't tell you that, but just rest assured that Allah has shown me some great glad tidings. And the next day, some honorary ladies come to our house to look after, help us during lunch. So a lady had come and she stopped me while I was going for the prayer and said, look here, I want to tell you, I was about to take tea when she told me, in the afternoon, that I have a dream I must tell you. I said, what is it? And the day she told me was exactly the day of the dream. She saw a dream that I'm telling her that Allah has given me a great glad tidings, and she asked me what it is, and I tell her, no, I won't tell you what it is, but be rest assured that it is a glad tidings. That is what she saw and related to me. The next day, another lady who also comes to the house, she stopped me while I was going for Zohar prayer and said, I must tell you one dream. This is a very strange and interesting dream. I said, what it is? She said that about a few days ago I saw in a dream that you are standing and you are talking to angels, or angels were talking to you. And you tell me that angels has told me that within the next 2-3 days, Allah is going to speak to me. So that is what was her dream prior to seeing my dream, and that also fitted exactly in time. So that was shown to me to give a reassurance, because sometimes people see good names in dreams and this ordinarily happens, but not like this, that even before this somebody is informed and after this somebody is informed, and everything just fits in intelligence. So I know things are going to happen, I have no doubt about it. Whatever will happen will be, inshallah, a great victory for Ahmadiyya. So don't be too hasty in expecting things to move in only in the desired direction. Maybe something else happens.